He's bought at levels of 947, which incidentally is where the stock is at right now. On the fundamentals, would you hold on?
I would hold on. I would argue that the stock has already moved up a lot in the last 2 years. So yes, no, not too much of gain from here, perhaps not in the short term at least, but yes, still a very attractive stock, fundamentally a very good story, and also a very low risk story because they have a very diversified and well balanced portfolio, does not depend too much on US FD approvals, which has been a kind of a risk factor with some of the pharma stocks. So a very safe, a very well diversified model can certainly buy and continue to hold for the long term. Like I said, I think the only thing is, yes, about a year back, it was definitely at a much better level. But nevertheless, still it has scope on the on the upside. So yes, a safe and a good bet to put your money in.
Kunal, this next one is from you. This is from Balan. Balan's holding 100 Tata Communications shares at levels of 1,100. And I can't recall rightly if you had said that you're positive on this counter. But the question is, would you switch to a mid-cap IT name or something like a Tata Elxsi?
So I think it's a difficult question, frankly, because if I put it solidarity, as Tata Communication, the charts, I think it's an excellent chart. The prospects for the stock is quite robust. In fact, we were discussing the stock just about a week back, or sometime this week. I'm not sure exactly. And the stock was at 1100 levels or slightly below that. It was going through a bounce process of the 200 moving average. And I remember I mentioned specifically that it's a good level to start buying those stocks which generally go through a mean reversion process or a mean retracement process, specifically towards coming back and correcting towards their 200 moving averages. So the bounce has played out pretty well for itself. And now I believe that this could be a stable uptrend for Tata Communication. The only catch with comparing Tata Communication with maybe another mid-cap IT stock would be the relative beta nature, because what could happen is Tata Communication is a relatively low beta stock. It tends to go through a prolonged bit of pause before it starts an uptrend for itself. But the mid-cap IT stocks, they could go through those flashy up moves. So it depends on the kind of beta nature and the risk appetite of each individual. But I would suggest that Tata Communication itself is a good chart. If you have surplus fund, then you can look at adding up to some other mid cap names, maybe Tata Elxsi, or maybe other names like Mindtree or Forge.
All right. Good morning, Kunal, as well as Ashish. The next query that we have is from Shiva Kumar. He's saying that he wants to know whether it makes sense to invest in Dixon Tech or in Info Edge for a good long term, sort of 3 to 5 years is what Shiva Kumar is looking at. He wants to know what sort of business models do they have. Ashish, Dixon Tech or Info Edge, which one makes sense for the long term investment, and what sort of businesses do they actually have?
Well, both are, I think, quite good, all despite having moved up very smartly over the last few years. Again, not the best of levels, but then the market is like that right now nothing is really available at a very cheap rate. Nothing good is available at a cheap rate. So having said that, yes, both are good investment ideas. Dixon is into manufacturing of electronic items and components. The company has a very good business model, has a very good order book, has done extremely well over the last few years, and future looks very promising looking at their manufacturing strength and their core area of competence. The market and a very clear growth trajectory going ahead. So yes, it's still, despite the run up, it still is a good investment idea. Though of course from here on the returns would be quite modest compared to what it has done in the last few years. Coming to Info Edge, again a very brilliant model, has a lot of e-commerce and a lot of other portals in its basket, including the famous Naukri.com, Zomato, and various others like 99 Acres, Policy Bazaar, various very popular websites and portals and e-commerce initiatives. Altogether, it represents a very formidable kind of e-commerce. You can see e-commerce come web giant. The company again has done very well. The stock has, I think, more than doubled in the last 1 year. But again, given its strength and given its sum of parts valuation, or in any other way, look at the way all these different portals are likely to grow going forward, it still makes sense to buy. Like I said in Dixon, the returns from here could be modest compared to what it has done in the last few years, especially the last 1 year. But still, it makes sense to buy at these rates. So both are buying ideas, and one can start buying and then use any declines to try and average out better.
Okay, this next question is from Santi, and this is for you, Kunal. Sumitomo Chemicals, and it's a bit of a long question, so I'm going to just go with it. He's talking about the current market price at 356. He sees that the RSI is at 76, and in the last 12 months, the stock has been in a range of 260 to 340. 2 days back, it saw a breakout of 340 highs. What he's also seeing is, as per the technical charts, he's understanding that the stock may dip to 50% retracement price of 340 to 345. Now he's also saying that the RSI oscillator is hinting at overbought zone and a continuation of the positive momentum with an immediate stop loss of 275 to 290 is his thesis. He's wondering if it's a good buy on dip approach for the next 1 to 2 years.
One word reply, Alex, to that. It's a buy on dips approach for Sumitomo Chemicals. Classic chart breakout, which has happened, I think, 2 days back. So I believe that it should be held on to from a medium to long term perspective. These are the kind of quality stocks which tend to give you a strong bout of returns, when the market gets into more of a confidence zone. So right now the markets are into a bit of a struggle, but I believe eventually once the breakout happens, I think these are the kind of stocks which tend to give you some very strong, alpha in terms of returns on your portfolio. So I would definitely suggest a hold.
All right, the next query is coming from Naval Kishore Singh. He's saying he's bought Newland Labs 10 shares at 2,700 rupees per share. He wants to know whether he should continue to hold on to this counter or go ahead and sell the stock. What's your take coming in on Newland Labs, currently trading at over 2,100 odd rupees, Kunal?
Interesting name, Newland Lab. I believe on the daily charts, it's forming some sort of a bearish pattern. In fact, we were discussing the stock some time back as well. And I'd mentioned that it's very close towards breaking down of a neckline support. That neckline support is somewhere closer to 2000, 2050 levels for Newland Lab. So I would suggest a wait and watch, on the stock, because if this pattern gets completed, this could result into a sort of a fall of at least another 10 to 15%, if not more, for the stock price. So I would suggest that wait and watch. Let's see how the stock behaves closer to that 2050, 2100 mark. If that support gets taken out, then you could be looking at a sharp drop, maybe another 200 to 250 points drop at least on the stock price, purely based on the chart pattern. So I would suggest an hold as of now. And if you're long, if you're holding long positions, assumingly, then I would suggest keep that stop loss of 2050.
Okay, I think that the next question, Ashish, is going to be an interesting one, but at the same time, I'm going to request you to keep your answer just a tad bit short because we've got a lot of questions to answer. Asian Granito, we've got Padma who's bought 500 shares at levels of 192, which is not too far away from the price, which is 181 right now. It's corrected over the year-to-date period. Are you positive on the building material space, and specifically what do you think about Asian Granito?
Yes, I am quite positive on building material and home improvement space, and I think the stock also is a good idea. Although again, I mean, like any other quality name, it is not the best of time and price to enter. But having said that, yes, the company has been doing well. It has been also delivering smart returns to the shareholders. So I think not a bad idea to enter at this, even at the current price. The whole space of this tiles and sanitary ware is doing fairly well, and I think though the company is not the clear leader in it, but it is still doing fairly well, and I think the returns from here could be decent going forward.
The next query is from Neeraj Kumar. He's saying he has 200 shares of CEAT that is purchased at 1,290 rupees per share. He's looking for 2 to 3 years sort of target for CEAT. Kunal, how are the charts looking for CEAT?
Well, from the tire stocks, there are tire pack. There are many stocks which are looking attractive. So I don't know if the rationale to picking up CAT is more on the fundamental basis, but if it's purely technical, then I would give probably JK Tires or maybe a Balkrishna Industries as two stronger candidates of potential uptrend. Both of them are different in characteristics. Balkrishna Industries is more of a stable stock. It's it's going to a structural uptrend, and when you generally see structural uptrends, they tend to last for a longer duration of time. JK Dice is on the verge of a breakout of this, a V-shaped pattern on the longer-term chart. So if that pattern breaks out, you could be looking at the stock hitting back towards an all-time high, in the near to medium term. So I would suggest an alternative from switching off from CI to either JK Tire or Balkrishna Industries.
Okay. Apologies to those who've asked questions and who didn't get their questions answered today. We've had a curtailed session today, and we promise we'll be back on Monday to answer as many questions as possible. Kunal, I want to come back to you though on your high risk and low risk ideas. What do you have for us today?
Well, I'll suggest a couple of buy calls. One of them, which I'm suggesting, is a ban United Spirits. That stock looks extremely attractive. It's given a decent move today on the daily charts, and I would expect that the stock would move up significantly higher. So buy on United Spirits, targets of 680, stop loss could be moved higher to 610. And the second would be a buy on JK Tires, we just discussed some time back. Bullish on the stock from a near to medium term, targets of 145 plus, stop loss at 129.
Ashish, what are your high risk and low risk ideas for the viewers today?
Yeah, the low risk idea is Indian Oil Corporation. The company is posted better than expected results and is quoting at a very compelling valuation. The sum of parts of its various businesses, refining, pipeline, petchem, if total all the sum of parts, it is at a clear premium. It's about more than 2.5 lakh crore, and if you deduct the debt, which is 1,50,000 crore, the equity valuation should be at least 1,40,000 compared to the market cap of about 1,10,000 crores. So clearly another 32% upside, very clearly visible. Target of 150. Very low risk idea because dividend yield itself is 5%. So even if you have to hold it for some time, you're not going to lose money in this, in my opinion. The high risk idea is Borosil Renewables. The company is the first and perhaps the only organized player in solar glass. And solar glass is being really in high demand because of various initiatives taken by the government of India to encourage solar power generation. Worldwide also the demand is huge because of shortage in China. Currently they have a 40% market share of the domestic market. The rest is being met mainly by imports. So yes, the demand is huge. Going forward, it can deliver very smart results. But being a small company with only 3,500 crore market cap, this is a bit of a risky idea, but the reward can be very handsome if everything goes well.
All right. Thank you so much, Ashish, for those ideas and also for answering the questions that were asked.